You probably spent at least some energy today trying to control the uncontrollable,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like agonizing over a choice you had to make or stressing about a future event that hasn't even happened yet. Or maybe you were just trying to fix a friend's bad habit.
We all do it.
Yeah, because we live in this era of relentless life hacking and self-optimization. The constant underlying message is that you are the absolute master of your own destiny. And if something is wrong,
You just haven't worked hard enough to fix it yet.
exactly. But today, we are going to explore a framework that completely shatters that idea.
It really does. It's a radically different lens through which to view reality. For this deep dive, we are examining a very bold, uncompromising philosophical text. It's by an author named Shuifeng, dated June 9th, 2025.
And the title alone is, well, it's pretty blunt.
Yeah, the title gives you a very clear indicator of the territory we're entering. It's titled, Everything is Fixed and Predetermined.
No gray area there.
None at all. And what makes this piece so compelling is how directly it challenges our modern exhaustion and our obsession with control. It offers a perspective on universal determinism that basically suggests our anxiety comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of how the universe actually operates.
So our mission today is to really unpack that perspective. We're going to look at the foundational logic the author uses, examine some surprisingly gritty and extreme examples provided in the text, and try to understand the counterintuitive sense of peace that is supposedly waiting for us if we accept this philosophy.
It's a fascinating journey.
It is. And just a quick reminder to you as we get started, we are here to impartially explore the ideas contained in this source material. We aren't endorsing this worldview as the one absolute truth, but rather acting as your guides to understanding a very distinct, provocative way of looking at existence.
That is a crucial baseline to establish. The claims we're going to discuss are absolute. There is very little room for debate in this philosophy. It demands that we entirely reevaluate our relationship with the concept of free will and personal agency.
Okay, let's unpack this. The logic starts by zooming way, way out. Like we are looking at the cosmos.
The big picture.
Yeah, the biggest. Shuofeng lays down this massive foundational premise. He asks us to think about the fact that the universe has been running in a highly orderly fashion for billions of years.
Which is mind-boggling when you actually stop to think about it.
Right, when you actually pause and consider the sheer scale of that.
Yeah.
Billions of years of cosmic history, and the universe hasn't collapsed on itself. It hasn't burned up. It just keeps going. The argument here is that this immense, unyielding stability is only possible because absolutely everything is operating on a fixed, predetermined program.
And we really need to look at the mechanics of that program. What is it actually made of? The
Yeah.
core of this cosmic operating system is identified in the text as numbers, or in the original language, shu.
So numbers.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about, like, high school algebra here.
No, not at all. When we say numbers in this context, think less about math equations on a chalkboard and more about an underlying, unalterable cosmic destiny code. The universe is built, maintained, and operated entirely by these numbers.
Okay.
And the absolute non-negotiable rule of this framework is that these numbers are fixed. They do not change with the passage of time, and they do not change across different spaces.
So I get the analogy of the universe being like an incredibly complex computer simulation.
Wait.
But I had to play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
If the underlying source code of reality is completely locked,
Which it is, according to the text.
right, and unlike our software that gets patches and updates, this code never changes. Where does that leave anything resembling human agency? It feels incredibly bleak to think that everything we observe, from the sun and the moon to mountains, rivers, and even living creatures like birds and insects, are just executing a locked script.
Well, that discomfort is exactly what the philosophy is designed to provoke. Yes. By establishing that the fundamental numbers operating a massive star are the exact same unchanging numbers operating a tiny insect, a logical trap is set for the reader. If the foundation is unchanging, the outcome must be unchanging. The text leaves no wiggle room for agency in the way we traditionally understand it. Everything is bound by this cosmic math.
Which brings us to the next massive leap in the logic, and it is a heavy one.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this premise leads to a definitive conclusion about destiny. Because the numbers that build and maintain reality are completely fixed, the future of all things is absolutely predetermined. A variable outcome simply does not exist in this framework.
And the examples used to illustrate this predetermined future are not just philosophical musings. They are intense and painfully specific.
Very specific.
The text notes that those destined to reincarnate will reincarnate, and those destined to become enlightened will become enlightened. But then it gets much darker.
It does take a turn.
It argues that those who are destined to starve will absolutely starve, and those destined to be washed away by floods will absolutely be washed away. That is a really difficult pill to swallow.
It is a stark, unflinching view of reality. The author is applying this rigid mathematical determinism to some of the most intense human suffering and dramatic life events imaginable. And this absolute certainty extends fully into the spiritual realm as well.
How so?
While the text argues that if a soul's destiny, its number, points toward hell, no power in existence can stop that descent. Conversely, if a soul is destined for heaven, not even a demon king could drag them down. The trajectory is entirely locked in from the beginning.
Wow. Okay, this brings us to the messiest variable of all. Us, human beings.
The ultimate wild card, or so we think.
Right. How does this cosmic determinism apply to human nature? There's a proverb quoted here that I think we can all relate to on some level. It goes, rivers and mountains may easily change, but human nature is hard to alter.
It's so true.
You see this all the time. People swear they're going to change their toxic habits. Or you watch a friend try to break out of a destructive cycle, and eventually they just snap back to their default settings.
Human nature is presented as the ultimate observable proof of this locked number system on a micro level. And to emphasize just how fixed we are, a striking claim is made. Even if divine beings of immense power like gods, Buddhas, or sages were standing right next to you, they still could not change your fundamental nature or alter your fate.
So even a god couldn't rewrite your code.
Exactly. Your cosmic code overrides their divine intervention.
I found the next point incredibly jarring, but fascinating. The argument is made that saving a human is actually harder than saving a beast.
That's a powerful statement.
Think about that. We pride ourselves on our intellect and our consciousness, but this suggests that very consciousness makes us more stubborn than an animal acting on pure instinct.
It is a brilliant critique of human ego. The implication is that our intellectual struggling against our fate is precisely what makes saving us so difficult. An animal simply exists within its predetermined code.
It just does what it's programmed to do.
Right. But humans, we fight it. We agonize over our choices. We build elaborate illusions of control, and we constantly battle the unchanging numbers of our own existence. We are exhausting ourselves fighting a current that cannot be fought.
Here's where it gets really interesting. To prove that fighting our fate is pointless, the focus shifts away from the heavy spiritual concepts and turns toward the undeniable laws of nature.
The things we see every day.
Exactly. Think about how we view the seasons. Winter is inevitably followed by spring. Summer is inevitably followed by autumn. We never stress out about whether spring will arise, do we? We don't lay awake at night wondering if the trees will remember to grow leaves.
Because it's a certainty.
It is baked into nature's code. And there's this great analogy about an apple tree. An apple tree will blossom and yield apples. It is never, ever going to suddenly grow watermelons.
The purpose of that metaphor is profound. By utilizing these undeniable, easily observable laws of nature, a hard truth about the human condition is exposed. We accept that an apple tree cannot grow watermelons, yet we constantly demand that we, or the people around us, grow watermelons.
That is such a good way to put it.
The text uses a very specific phrase here, noting that no matter how much people jump around and struggle, the outcome remains fixed.
Jump around and struggle. That phrase paints such a vivid, almost tragicomic picture of modern life. Think about hustle culture. Think about the late nights, the stress, the scheming, the endless pursuit of trying to force a different outcome. We are all just jumping around and struggling, trying to force our personal apple trees to grow watermelons.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
But the assertion here is that it doesn't matter. Those who are meant to enjoy blessings will enjoy them, and those who are meant to suffer will suffer.
By establishing that fighting destiny is as ridiculous as expecting a watermelon from an apple tree, the groundwork is laid for a radical psychological shift. If you truly internalize this, the jumping around and struggling stops looking like noble ambition and starts looking like unnecessary self-inflicted torment.
So what does this actually mean for you, the listener? If everything from the movement of the stars to the floods down to your own stubborn human nature is operating on a completely locked code, how are you supposed to get out of bed in the morning? Do you just give up entirely?
Well, this is the pivot from philosophical observation to practical daily instruction. The solution offered is not despair, and it's not nihilism. It is a state of utter calmness and radical acceptance.
Radical acceptance.
Yes, if the future is already written by these unalterable numbers, the only logical, sane response is to be entirely at ease with whatever is happening.
But the examples given for this radical acceptance are extreme. It goes way beyond just accepting a traffic jam or a bad day at work.
It definitely pushes the boundary.
The text literally says, if someone wants to hang themselves, let them. If they want to drown themselves, let them. If they want to be depressed and filled with sorrow, let them. And on the positive side, if they want to play and become enlightened, let them. I have to push back here. That sounds incredibly cold to a modern ear. Are we really supposed to just stand by and watch people suffer?
It undeniably challenges our deeply ingrained moral instinct to intervene. But the philosophy provides a powerful metaphor to explain this detachment. It says everyone is simply beating their own gong and acting in their own play. You are being instructed to transition fundamentally from being a participant in the lives of others to being an observer.
An observer. So you stop trying to fix everyone's script.
Precisely. You stop scheming. You stop desperately trying to save people from their own predetermined actions, and you stop artificially indulging them to. Your role is simply to witness the execution of the cosmic code. You watch the play. You don't jump on stage and try to rewrite the dialogue.
Applying that to a stranger is one thing. But this rule is applied strictly to our closest, most intimate relationships.
That's where it gets really difficult.
We are talking about friends, romantic partners, and family. The text insists that even with your closest companions, you must only observe. You cannot deliberately try to correct them because one human being fundamentally has no way to change the numbers of another human being.
It is a devastating critique of how we usually operate in relationships. We spend so much energy trying to mold our partners or save our friends, believing our intervention is the key to their salvation. This philosophy calls that pure ego.
Let's look at how this applies to the family dynamic, because that is where the illusion of control is strongest.
Oh, without a doubt.
The text states that parents have absolutely no way to correct or change their children's future. None. And children cannot change their parents' fate in the slightest. Think about the modern parenting industry. It's entirely built on the premise that if you buy the right educational toys and read the right books, you will alter the trajectory of your child's life.
It's a billion-dollar industry built on that exact premise.
But anyone who has ever tried to force a toddler to eat a bowl of broccoli knows the truth. You can't even force a toddler to eat a vegetable against their will, let alone change their cosmic destiny.
That is a perfect encapsulation of the absurdity of our struggle. The friction, the exhaustion of parenting or of any close relationship comes from the belief that you are the author of their story. But according to Schweffing, you are just two actors on a stage beating your own gongs. You cannot alter the script written for the other person. You can only watch their play unfold, and they can only watch yours.
Wow. Just watching the play.
This raises an important question. If we actually manage to accept this, if we truly embrace that we are just observers of a locked cosmic script, what happens to all the things that keep us awake at night? What happens to the fear and the anxiety that dominates so much of modern life?
Well, according to this framework, fear and anxiety become completely obsolete. Because if the future is fully determined by unchanging numbers, what possible reason is there to rush? Why be anxious about a meeting next week if the outcome is already locked into the fabric of the universe?
Exactly. It's out of your hands.
It is like standing in the middle of a rushing river. You can fight the current, thrash around, and completely exhaust yourself, or you can just lean back, float, and let it take you where it's always going to take you anyway. The text delivers this very comforting, albeit fatalistic, reassurance. It says, what must come will come, and it cannot be hidden from. And what must go will go, and it cannot be stopped.
It brings a profound sense of psychological relief. And this culminates in the final striking lines of the text, which serve as a massive dividing line. It states, if you don't understand my words above, you are a human. If you understand my words above, you are an immortal.
An immortal.
Now, we need to clarify what is meant by immortal here. For a Western audience, an immortal usually implies a vampire or some mythological being living forever. But in the context of this Eastern philosophical thought, an immortal, or a transcendent being, refers to someone who has achieved enlightenment and transcended worldly suffering.
So being human in this context is actually a state of suffering. It means you are still jumping around and struggling. You are still trying to force the apple tree to grow watermelons.
Exactly. The label of human is linked to our futile, exhausting struggle against the inevitable. But grasping this truth, truly understanding and embodying the role of the calm observer, elevates a person. It grants them the peace and detachment of an immortal.
It makes a lot of sense when you frame it like that.
You can almost see the parallels to Western ideas, like Stoicism, which teaches us to focus only on what we can control, or Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, a passionate love of one's fate, regardless of what it is. For someone completely burned out by modern hustle culture, this ancient-sounding fatalistic determinism doesn't have to be depressing. It can be incredibly liberating.
Let's synthesize what we've covered today, because it is a massive paradigm shift. We started by looking at a universe that has maintained perfect order for billions of years, precisely because it operates on a fixed program of unalterable numbers.
The cosmic source code.
Right? We explored how that cosmic source code means absolutely everything is predetermined, from the grand scale of floods and starvation to the micro level of our own stubborn human nature. We looked at how our lives are as fundamentally fixed as the changing of the seasons.
And we traced how that realization leads to the ultimate instruction for your daily life. While the examples used, like standing by while someone drowns or suffers, are incredibly jarring, the underlying invitation is profound. It is an invitation to drop the incredibly heavy, exhausting burden of trying to control the people and events around you.
Just let it go.
By shifting your mindset from that of a stressed, hyperactive participant to a calm, detached observer, you are offered a path out of anxiety.
It's a total surrender that somehow leads to total peace. And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, lingering thought to ponder long after this deep dive ends. The claim is that understanding this philosophy elevates you from a stressed human to a peaceful immortal.
The ultimate goal.
But think about the core premise we just spent all this time discussing. The entire universe operates on fixed, unchanging numbers where every single event is absolutely predetermined. So wasn't your ability to understand this text today and therefore experience that liberation already coded into the universe long before you were even born?
That is a wild paradox to consider.
Are you actively choosing to let go of control right now, or were you simply programmed to do so the exact moment you pressed play? Keep observing, keep questioning, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.